Let's connect with Nilesh Parikh, Associate Director, Wholesale Capital Markets with Edelweiss Financial Services. Nilesh, after a result surprise from BOB, are we in for a result surprise from PNB as well?
Good morning. So I think in terms of PNB, the key would be how the asset quality matrix kind of behave. So we've seen them remaining at stress levels for the last couple of quarters. So I think, we are expecting some bit of moderation from the earlier quarters, but it continues to remain at elevated if you include the restructuring pipeline that they currently carry. Overall, I think in terms of headline numbers, we are looking at a subdued quarter at about a 6% decline on profitability at about 10 billion of profits, and largely given that you've seen a modest pickup in loan growth during the quarter at about 6 odd percent, and margins remaining more or less flattish for them. So overall, I think the key would be asset quality compared to what we've seen for Bank of Baroda, where asset quality numbers have started to kind of come off compared to the previous quarters. But on the other side, you have other banks like Union Bank and in Allahabad, where you've continued to see stress levels remaining elevated. So we would be cautious on the way things shape up at PNB. But I think the key monitorable out here would be the asset quality, including the restructuring that we would be watching for.
Nilesh, you just talked about BOB as well as Bank of India. Because of them performing the way they did in asset quality, hopes are running high from PNB, and the stock has been spiking up the last couple of trading sessions, barring perhaps an odd yesterday. What's the sense? If PNB were to deliver on expected lines, match up street estimates, what's the rating on the stock then from you?
So we currently have a hold rating with a price target about 660. But yeah, given that if they perform well on asset quality expectations, both in terms of slippages and restructuring, then I think given that the valuation is currently at just about 0.6 adjusted book FY15, there is room for upside here.
Right. Nilesh, if asset quality concerns are not over for PNB, why has PNB from the recent low appreciated by about 20% plus? In fact, the appreciation from the recent low is more than 25%.
Sure. So I think this is something that we've seen across the board for all the state-owned banks. That we've seen that markets are close to all-time highs, and most of these names were quoting close to 5-year lows in terms of valuations. So at least according to us, we believe that it's more like a catch-up trade that is playing out for some of the state-owned banks. But stress levels, as we've seen for some of the banks also which have reported numbers, it continues to be elevated. And I think the underlying thing that we need to remember out here is that the macros have still not formed a bottom, and on the other side you have the GSEC, which is still trading at about 8.8%, so which is something concerning for the state-owned banks. So yes, there is a valuation support which is leading to some bit of upside, but we would still be a bit cautious on the overall sector.
Right, Nilesh, appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. Nifty is range bound, but honestly Nifty is not really the big story today. Individual stocks are flying around, and they're flying around how?